everyone. So I've had a lot of comments recently where people have been asking for stuff about skincare, about my foundation routine, stuff that I've been doing in that sense, my base makeup. Kind of surprising, to be honest. I've been struggling with my skin for a little bit. I've been readjusting because my skin has been so much drier. So I've really just been shopping my stash, playing with a few different things, trying some different combinations of stuff, and I think I've found a pretty good routine for right now. So because I've had so many questions about it, I thought that I would share what I do and just a couple little skincare things. If you are on a no buy or a low buy and you may be triggered by discussion of different products, please click away. I am not trying to sell you this stuff. I'm just sharing what has worked for me or what is currently working for me right now. So just a little warning, I guess. I have no makeup on right now at all. I did take all my makeup off. I might have like a little residual eyeliner or something because I didn't completely do my full nighttime routine because I knew I was putting more makeup on my face, but there's no product on my face at all. I actually just removed my makeup. I tend to do a double cleanse. I will use something like a micellar water or a makeup wipe. I know not necessarily the greatest thing. I am no skincare expert. I've done a little bit of research and I just really just do what seems to work for me, and it's a lot of trial and error. So just keep that in mind as well. So I will take my makeup off with a makeup wipe or with micellar water and then follow with another cleanser. I've been really liking oil cleansers, and I find like the double cleanse has helped my skin a lot when it comes to taking off makeup for the evening. So I'm just gonna share these two products because I feel like these have made quite a bit of difference in my skin, which is why I wanted to mention it before I get into my whole sort of daytime makeup routine. It's not a full skincare thing, but these two products have made a difference for me with my skin. These are two things that go on my face at nighttime. It's the Ordinary hyaluronic acid and the Laneige water sleeping mask, which I drew from my sample box for hashtag 365 days of samples. I've been wearing these together. So I applied this first, a few drops all over my face, and then I follow it with the water sleeping mask, and my skin has been so much more hydrated. I can even see it with no product on, with no additional skincare. I can see how much more hydrated my skin looks and how much it feels. Like it doesn't even feel as dry anymore. So that's been one of those things that has really helped me, and this was definitely shop your stash. You know, this was sitting in my sample basket untouched for a long time, and this is something that I got from my sister. It's turned to be really fantastic, and you know, I've got less than half of the bottle left already because I've been loving this combination. So I do have a few other additional skincare things I use at night and some different things I rotate through in the morning. But in the morning, after I wake up and cleanse my face, I have been using the Pixi Glow Tonic. So this is just a jumbled bottle here that I have from Pixi, and then I just put it on one of those cotton rounds, and I'm gonna look into the viewfinder for 1 second. I should get a mirror. Always so much easier that way. But it's essentially a toner, and this has made a difference in my morning routine, that I feel like it's helping my skin actually look glowy. And this is a product that I rediscovered that I hadn't used for a while. It's the whole shop your stash thing, and I've been rotating around with some different skincare stuff so I don't get bored. This is 5% glycolic acid. It's an exfoliating toner. So it says that it gently exfoliates and brightens, and I do find that it does that. For a face moisturizer, I do have a few different things that I will use. I had been using the Pixi Vitamin C Caviar Balm for a while. You can kind of see usage on that. But then I picked up a 100 Point Perk from Sephora, and this has been my new go-to in this little tiny thing that I don't have a whole lot left of. So this is from It Cosmetics, and it is the Confidence in a Gel Lotion. It's oil-free for all skin types. It says it's hydro-plumping, skin-transforming, weightless moisturizer. So I've noticed such a huge difference in my skin, the way that it feels using this, and that is a tiny little sample size, but I have used it quite a bit in different occasions. I did use it a couple of times when I was away, and then I've been using it since I got home. Just not every day because there's not a whole lot of product in there. I will use the vitamin C one, and then I still have a little bit left of my Peter Thomas Roth moisturizer. So I do have a few other moisturizers that I rotate around, but this is the one that I feel like makes the biggest difference in my skin in terms of hydration. And so this has been sort of the go-to routine for me for filming, for my everyday makeup. That's the general beginning stages of it. So once I have the moisturizer on my face and I let it sit for just a minute or two, I will follow with face primer. And I've been painting a bunch of face primers because I have a lot of mattifying ones, which aren't great for my skin. But I have one that's not mattifying. It's the Lasting Finish Primer, Skin Perfecting from Rimmel. So this is very lotiony, and this is not my favorite face primer by a long shot. I won't miss this when it's gone, but it works. It's fairly thick and looks like a pretty thick moisturizer. Now I like to have the hydrating barrier on my skin when I put a foundation on or any other kind of skin products like that. Even if I was just concealing, I still want to use a face primer just because I find that my skin will react kind of poorly to products like that, and I will end up breaking out by the end of the day. And this is just, it's something that I have tested because I thought maybe it's just in my head, but every single time I skip face primer, and even if it's just concealer, I always break out. So I just like to use some kind of face primer as that little bit of barrier. So this one feels like it's a little greasy. I'm looking forward to having some other face primers. So I'm gonna do my routine kind of as normal. I don't plan on putting any eyeshadow on right now, but I do tend to do my base makeup first anyway. I'm gonna put my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion on because I'm just going through my routine as I would normally do it in the morning, and this is just what I like doing, is putting the eyeshadow primer on and then a little bit through the brows as well, because I heard from a makeup artist at MAC that the eyeshadow primer will help with your brows and the longevity of the product staying in your brows, and I do find that that does make a huge difference for me. My routine tends to be like base product, brows, stuff like contour, eyeshadow, and then I'll do like blush. I've been actually doing blush first. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I just kind of do things now instinctually. I don't really think about it. I don't really have a plan. I just like grab things and I just do it in the order that makes sense for me. So I do color correct. That's the biggest thing. And I know a lot of people don't color correct anymore. It was trendy for like a hot second. I rediscovered this one from my stash. This is from the brand Au Naturel, and it is the creme corrector in sweet basil. It's a very pale green. It's in a stick. I also use the Urban Decay color corrector. So psoriasis on my forehead, I always cover. Now I do have like a tiny bit of scarring still left, and I don't find that the green works that well because the scarring is a little bit more purple. So I might need to reevaluate my color correcting options, but I just didn't want to purchase anything else. I don't mind a little bit of the scarring peeking through, and I do have a concealer, which I've incorporated into my routine. And then for under eyes, this is almost completely gone. I did buy a new one, just ordered it from the Sephora sale. I picked up this and the Urban Decay under eye, but you can clearly see there's like nothing left of this. I'm stretching this. I can't wait till the new one comes because life is hard. This is one of my staple products that I just have to have. It makes the world of difference for me because I do have dark circles that I got over the last couple of years. Yay, aging, life, lack of sleep, having a toddler, you know, regular stuff. So this makes such a huge difference and just makes me feel more confident even when I'm wearing very minimal makeup, color correcting, and then with a light layer of foundation on top. I will color correct a little bit less if I'm only concealing, and I find that it's actually more time consuming than just putting the light layer of foundation on. So it can look a little bit more natural with just a little bit of concealer, but I would just go all in. So my foundation cocktail, the star of this video, is a weird mishmash of stuff. So I have the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. This is in the shade Vanilla, which is too dark for me. I mix it with the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Moonstone, and a little bit of the Makeup Forever Chromatic Mix in white. So these three things are the things that have been going on my face lately, and I love it. It's a beautiful shimmery finish. I feel like the color match is pretty good. This has been my everyday foundation. I have worn it in videos a couple times, although to be honest, it has the same kind of finish as the Fenty foundation, and to make life easy when I'm filming, I often will just put the Fenty on my face instead of mixing everything together, but you know. So I take one full pump of the foundation. So you can kind of see it's a little bit too dark for me. I mean, it's not crazy dark. It is the shade Vanilla, but it's a little bit too deep for me. Then I take about an equal amount of the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. This is something I just dug out as I was shopping my stash and was trying to find some new products to play with, and I had completely forgot about that. And then one generous drop of the Makeup Forever Chromatic White Mix. So we've got like a little cocktail in the back of my hand. So my routine is just to mix it up on the back of my hand. I do suggest over mixing, as in maybe using 2 drops of everything, like 2 pumps. It will be a lot of product, but until you know how much you want for your skin, it's better to have too much than not enough, and you don't have to apply the whole thing to your face. Yes, it might be wasteful, but it's also wasteful to apply more than you need to. It's not going to benefit you, and it's not going to look good if you use an excess amount of product. So I just dip my brush into the mixture in the back of my hand once I've taken what was left on my finger and dotted it on my face. And then I just blend it in. The foundation brush I've been liking most recently has been this one from IT Cosmetics, the Heavenly Luxe Flawless Foundation Brush, but really I have a whole bunch of different foundation brushes and they all pretty much work the same. I do need to clean this one as well though. Clean brushes make a huge difference in your application, just saying. I like to do it in kind of stages, just to make sure that I'm covering everything. It can be a little tricky sometimes if you have any issues with your skin. But I definitely think that like the Makeup Forever Chromatic Mix is an oil base, and then with the Shimmering Skin Perfector, which doesn't have glitter in it, it's just very shimmery, which is why I like it so much. So it's not completely perfect, but it will do. I then take my beauty blender. So I did wet this before I came down to film, and this just soaks up any additional product and helps to blend it in a little better, because I find I have some creases. So I just like to quickly run over it and then make sure I get underneath my eye, because I don't follow underneath my eye with any other concealer unless it's a particularly rough night, in which case I might take a bit of brightening concealer if I happen to have one. Like I still have one from YSL, one of those Touchy cloth pens, and I will use a little bit of that if I need to. Then if I need any more concealing, I use the Glossier Stretch Concealer, yet another product that I've picked out from my stash that I hadn't used, but I have a very large dip in this product right now, and I will conceal any of the areas that I feel like might need a slight touch-up. This isn't a heavy-duty concealer either. It's a very lightweight, natural finish concealer. Like it's sort of shiny and it matches the foundation very well. So the places I tend to add a tiny bit of concealer to is the spot on my forehead. Because this is not a full coverage foundation, the Comfort Matte Foundation could definitely be full coverage if I built it up solely on its own, but I'm mixing it with 2 other products. So if I want a little bit more coverage, this concealer works great for me, and I have been liking this concealer more, I think, because of the different style of makeup and also because of this brush. This is a Sephora Pro Airbrush Concealer Brush. Brushes make the biggest difference. I'm telling you, the biggest game changer for me in terms of any makeup application. Any improvement I've been able to have with the way I do makeup, or just, you know, my particular style, has always been about the brushes, and that particular brush has just made the biggest difference because I can really just blend the tiniest bit, and it really is like an airbrush concealer. So I find that it really does look fairly natural, and I can even use that on its own and just like spot conceal certain spots. This is usually the concealer that I will use if I just feel like doing that. It does make a difference in my opinion. And then there's not a whole lot else in terms of other products. I don't conceal, like I said, unless I really need to. I don't tend to powder either. Powder is a really rare thing for me. I like this on its own. I have MAC Fix Plus, which usually at this stage I will just lightly spray. Don't need to go overboard with it. I just like a little bit of the Fix Plus because I find that it really just merges things together, and I like to do it at this stage before I go any further. So at this stage, next I would put brows on. I just used a brow gel real quick just to fluff up the brows a little bit. I didn't completely fill them in. My brows have been looking just a little bit better on their own lately, and I can't quite figure it out. I'm not sure what the difference there has been, but I'm not going to question it. So I will just take you through blush, contour, bronzer, highlighter really quick, because I do feel like it adds to the whole look, because this is really the basics of it. This is the whole basic. Shopping my stash with various random products and mixing things together, and not very elaborate. Now, I do apply things in a different order sometimes when it comes to highlighter, blush, contour. It really depends on what I'm intending to do with my face, because sometimes I will contour now and maybe bronze and then jump to the eyes, and sometimes I will do like contour, bronzer, blush, highlighter, all of that stuff, and then do eyes. Like it really, that part does differ a little bit. Sometimes if I'm definitely certain what I'm going to do with the eye, I will do the blush stuff first, but sometimes I'm not sure, and sometimes I'm like, well, maybe I want like a heavier blush and a lighter eye, so I make sure to do the blush first and the eye after. Or sometimes if I'm not sure what kind of eye I'm going to do, I save the blush, because that way I can make sure that they sort of go together. But in general, one of my go-tos is this cream. It's actually the highlighter shade from the Natasha Denona Bloom like blush and highlighter palette. This is the Glow. This is the Glow cream base, and just with a stipple brush, this is my go-to for a blush if I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. If there's a few possibilities, or if I'm looking for longevity, sometimes I know I am going to have my makeup on my face for longer if I'm going from work and I'm going out. So I want to make sure I have a layer of blush, because it's one of those things that I find like just makes a difference in my face, and I feel like I look like more rested and youthful if I have blush on. So I always go back in with the foundation brush I used earlier to get some of the blush away from this section. I like to kind of try and elongate my face a little bit instead of making it look more round. So I like to have blush up here. I also then from the same sort of palette will take either one of the highlighter or the actual blush shade and layer it on top. Again, sometimes I take the cream product and use it as a base, and then I might dip outside of this palette depending on what kind of shade I'm looking for, because sometimes I want something a little bit oranger, sometimes I want something a little bit pinker, sometimes something with a little bit less shimmer. These blushes are particularly shimmery, but I do like that. I do like the sort of intense glow. And then again, I just kind of tap, and it kind of just fades the blush away from that center portion of my face, and that is generally how I keep that. So next I will just do a slight bit of contour. This is what I use for camera. This is Too Faced, the Cocoa Contour. It's a slightly darker contour. The contour I use every day is from Burberry, and it's one of the discontinued blushes, like the earthy blush I believe it's called, and it's a very pale contour, and it doesn't show up very well on camera or in photos, but is my everyday choice because it is more natural. So I do tend, even if I have my bangs, I'm going to style my hair with bangs, I tend to run a little bit of contour powder along my forehead, my hairline, and then along my jaw as well. And then I'm not sculpting anything because I would definitely need a more detailed brush, but I like to kind of a little bit around the nose area because then I do highlight my nose as well, which has been a new thing in my routine. But I do like a little bit of contour. I find that it does make a difference in the way that my face looks, and it's one of those things that makes me feel more confident. For bronzer, I've been using this one from Pixie. I rotate a lot. Sometimes I will use this blush shade as well, just on the blush, and then just literally just kind of go through the motions. I will intensify it in the warmer months, but lately it's just been a slight bit, and I just find that it's that tiny bit extra definition that works for me. And this is the reason why I love bronzer. This is from an old holiday set. I got this from my sister. This is my Tarte powder brush. If you struggle with applying bronzer and it doesn't quite work for you, maybe something like this might work. Just look for a tapered powder brush. Tapered for most things is what I find works best for me because I have relatively small features, and a lot of the standard size brushes are too big. I can't use some of the standard like buffing eye brushes because my eyes are smaller. All the features tend to be smaller, so I need sort of smaller brushes. Tapered brushes tends to work best for me, and that has been a game changer. And then lastly, for highlighter, you can see all the beautiful pan on this one. This is the Becca Rose Quartz, which had been my white whale, and then when I finally caught it, I didn't like it very much. I think I had overhyped it, and I just sort of put it aside sadly and was like, well, okay, I dreamed about this, literally dreamed about this highlighter, and now I have it, and it's kind of lackluster. But then I started using it again when I was shopping my stash, and now I love it clearly by all the pan. So I just highlight this section. Sometimes I bring it up further, especially if I have a lot of blush going on there, and sometimes I just have it a little bit underneath my brow bone so that it kind of connects a little bit. And then lately I've always been, I haven't always contoured my nose area and I haven't always highlighted my nose area, but lately that has been my thing, and a little bit on my forehead and even a little bit on the chin, Cupid's bow, like right just down the center of my face, because I find that it just brings a little bit of life back to my face from any of the foundation that might have covered up some of that glow, but this is super glowy. So that is the completed thing with all of those products. I do spray a little bit of Fix Plus again. I'm sorry, I love it. But I really mean 2 sprays. I'm not coating my face in it, just a little bit. And then the Urban Decay All Nighter as the final step. Just to hold everything in place. I call that hairspray because it really does seem to make everything last. And yes, I wish I had like the dramatic fan. But yes, this is the entire thing. I do think the biggest difference for me though has been skincare, staying sort of religious with skincare, multivitamin, trying to drink water. It's not a trick, kids. Drink. If you haven't drank today, go get yourself a glass of water. Do it. Do it. It's really important. I'm really bad at it. I need constant reminders to drink water because I am the worst. But this is the, I'll take my little flower crown off. Isn't this cute though? I got this when I was in Cleveland. Little sort of sunflowers and little butterflies. I am a child, what can I say? But that is the finished look. So obviously I don't have any eye makeup on at this stage. If I hadn't already, I would go in and do eye makeup now. So it would just be eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, very simple stuff for day to day. But this is my everyday foundation routine, and I can do it in about 15 minutes. it's pretty good time. It's very, very quick. I've mastered everything and I just go. This took longer because I was chatting through it, but a lot of these products you've probably seen before, a lot of these brushes you've probably seen before. I really have stayed very true with the things that I like and the things that work for me. And the biggest advice I have if you're struggling is brushes. Invest in different brushes if you feel like that would help you. Just clean your brushes if you haven't cleaned them in a while. That makes a big difference. Play around with skincare if you have different things sitting around, samples or whatever you have, and don't be afraid to mix and match things together. When it comes to things like foundations, if you're not loving the thing that you have, maybe you would love it if you mixed it with something else. It doesn't have to be a liquid highlighter. It could simply be your moisturizer. It could be mixing your foundation and primer together. If you don't quite like the finish, there's a few different things you can mix together. If you have different liquid products, you can mix and match things and see if anything happens to work better for you, and that's what I've done in this case. This is a lot of shop your stash kind of items and not new things at all. So that's pretty good. A lot of standard, tried and true products, which I really enjoy using, and I highly recommend playing with what you already have, and you might discover something that you really enjoy using, even if it's just for the time being. Like, I know I'm not going to repurchase that foundation because it's matte, but I really enjoy this routine right now, and I really like the way that my skin looks, and I like that it has a good wear time. The longevity is great. It wears a lot better than the Fenty foundation, for example, which I find doesn't have the greatest wear time, but still looks beautiful. But it's a very similar sort of glowy, hydrating thing. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, or at least a little bit interesting, because I had so many people wondering about this. So there you go, mystery solved. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.